And basically, to be truthful, what I'm trying to do, and of course what each of us is trying to do in our own way, is to take what we learned in the History of Consciousness program with various of the fantastic teachers there, to name a few, and to try to interpret, to reinterpret, as everyone must in their own way, what they've learned and how that program works, and try to recast it for the circumstances in which they find themselves. It's like, in a way, reproducing humanity on Mars. So what do you do when you get out and you try to take the things that you've thought about in one program and transplant them to another? You know, what you get, in my case, is the ACT Lab, and what you get in the case of other people who are doing this kind of work is their own individual stuff. So, I'm not going to bother you with lesbian separatism. I had a rap about lesbian separatism starting in the 1970s and the invention of imaginary languages that I was going to run by, but I think we should probably get off that kick right now. The thing, I just want to go back. Can we set up for the CD, by the way? I find a couple of problems in doing this kind of work, which is that when we're working with things that are nearly illegible, we run the risk of falling off the edge into things that are not interpretable at all. The reason, and one of the reasons that I've chosen my body as a way of expressing my theory, is that I at least pretend that it is a more direct form of communication. Of course, I made a stop in Austin before I came here, but I just came from Slovenia and Croatia, where I was told that now I was in the deep Balkans and none of the technology would work right. And in fact, it didn't. What I was doing there was trying to convey the same thing, and of course with miscommunications and misreadings and misapprehensions and the twistings and turnings and misinterpretations of language that kind of situation can produce and does. And some of them were very productive, but in others I explained that the reason I was using my body was that words had failed me, was that I did not know how to express my theory in predicate language. And that for that purpose I had to resort to other modes, and that I felt that for me, at this particular moment, that predicate language had failed, and that I was going to have to try other ways of dealing with theory. Theory, in traditional terms, in the terms of a careful syllogistic construction, is a wonderful thing. It also happens to be theoryomorphic. It also happens to be a number of other things. But there comes a point where communication is limited by the acts of speech. And I wanted to translate, to code switch into a different medium. And so those things happen to me. What other kinds of media can you translate into? You can reach for... Here I am up here talking about my experiences as an individual, performing Sandy, performing woman, performing human in front of different audiences. I've talked that out in an extemporaneous way as best I can, considering that you're inside my irony distortion field. I also, at one time or another, tried to deal with it in the way that various poets with a much better gift of language than I have tried to deal with it. Adrian Rich, talking about how do we make this bond, how do we make this connection, said things like, the day is come, the day is past, the hyacinths will rise like flames out of the dirt of upper Broadway, where the indigent take the sun. And the light will come, the darkness will come, the rivers freeze and burn. And I ask myself, and you, which of our futures will claim us? Which will we claim? How will we speak? What will we know? What will we say to each other? But I come to a point at which words completely fail me. And when words fail, I remember the advice of my mentor who said, Sandy, if you can't show it, if you can't write it, if you can't say it, sing it. So we'll try. She's got no truck with black lace brassieres. She'd rather fuck with conservatives' fears and hang around with the freaks and the queers, because the lady is a trans. She's hanging out in that liminal space, intent on cloning a post-transsexual race. She likes her art right it's a trans. You see that performativity just right with me. Hey, with a wing, that's my game. Hey, these cultural theorists could need a swift kick in the pants. Because the lady is a trans. You see that it's simple. Anatomy is not destiny. Hey, this wasn't fate, and it's great. Our changing forms are all just part of the dance, and that's why the lady 246 take a trans. That's why the lady is a trans. Yes. Wolfgang takes over.
Now you can see how dangerous it is to sit in the first row. Yeah. As I said in the beginning, she knows more about the body than any of us. And any of us, I mean any of us theorists, because her body is her theories. And the point is, you're going from theory into the body, and now you have to go from the body to the theory again, because otherwise, it will be limited in the way you understand. You make yourself understand, but you do it, otherwise you will just sing and dance all the time. Please, you give us a break.